you were one of the first YouTubers to start talking about cryptocurrencies, even though there was a lot of blowback from it, but you ended up being right. So I'm really glad you could join us today.
I'm glad to be here. Right? I like going shows here, and so I appreciate you inviting me on.
So I guess, first of all, you said you're working on a new project now. Do you want to?
Yes. I wanted to announce that project here on your show here. Currently, I'm using the method to trade. Well, it's not really a trading; it's an investment method in cryptocurrencies, and it's called the little old lady method of investing. It's very simple. Basically, you buy low and you sell half on the double. Right. The hardest part is figuring out where to buy, but I've shown people how to buy low, where to buy low, and then basically once you have your buy order and you're set, you sell half when it doubles, because these cryptocurrencies, they go up and down like a whore's drawers. So it's easy to make money as they go up, and then they come back down, and you buy low, and then they go back up, and then you sell half on a double, and you make a lot of money. And you can see all my sell orders on my Twitter page, Davincij15. Well, it's a robot, Davincij15, at Twitter. So if you want to check that out, you can. You're more than welcome to.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. Sort of like, I remember Harry Brown, the leading libertarian for many years, had a kind of market analysis formula that was sort of like that. He would, depending on which market was peaking, he'd move over a percentage of his total holdings out of that market into another market. And people have always said that worked well as just
but
the general formula.
The little old lady method is really, really, really simple. But the only issue with that method is that all your money is at the brokerage or exchange, and it doesn't have to be that way with cryptocurrencies. And so I'm building a software product called Pandora's Wallet, and what it is basically it allows you to hold all your cryptocurrencies yourself and only send it to the exchange when you need to make the exchange. So it makes it a lot easier, so that you don't have to like transfer all these different. I have over 300 cryptocurrencies right now. So it would be difficult for me to transfer the currency to my to my wallets, and when there's 300 wallets, and then transfer them back to the exchange when I want to make a trade. So with this new software called Pandora's Wallet, you'll be able to it will be able to automatically do that for you, as well as you keep ownership of your currencies. And that's the main part of it, because one exchange called BitParking, I transferred a lot of Namecoin to. I had over $500,000 worth of Namecoin at one point, and the exchange went down, and I lost all that money. So I don't want that to happen again. And a lot of exchanges have gone down in the last little while. Cripsy, what else? There's exchanges like Bitter has lost people's money, has lost like half of the money that they had. What else? Bittrex, not Bittrex. Bittrex has been pretty good, actually. Bitfinex, they lost a third of people's money. And that's a huge problem. The exchange is trusting your exchange with all your money. So with Pandora's Wallet, you can take ownership of your currency and only transfer it when you need to make an exchange.
Yeah, that sounds like a really needed service. I've never really trusted these exchanges. I mean, my thought has always been that, that the governments want to destroy all these altcoins. They just can't come out and say it. And so one of the best things for them to do is just to seize exchange account. Like that was kind of when Mt. Gox collapsed, as I understood it. I haven't followed this as closely as you have, but the government just kind of comes in and seizes everything that it can. Or I would suspect they would even be hacking the exchanges behind the scenes. And even if the people who run the exchange are honest, legitimate people, it's kind of hard for them to fight against governments who are trying to steal the accounts and crash the exchanges sometimes.
Yes, that's correct. I mean, we don't know for sure if the governments are behind it, but Wouldn't surprise me. So, I mean, most likely, most of the time, it's the exchange itself. The person running the exchange is stealing the money. I believe that the owner of Montgomery actually took the money and ran off with it. There was a few times where he had to pay out a lot of money to the government because of regulations and stuff like that he had not gone through properly, right? He had failed to do things properly with the government, and so he had to pay like huge fines. But overall, I think there was a lot of money in the exchange, a lot more money that was lost, like hundreds of millions of dollars at the MT Docs exchange. So where did all that go?
What about was it Bitstamp that the government arrested one of the people running the exchange and he's in jail now? Or was that a different exchange? It was one of the exchanges located in the US, I believe. They claimed that he wasn't complying with some kind of...
That was Cripsy, actually. That was Cripsy exchange, where it was a US-based altcoin exchange, and he'd also stolen the money as well, but also there was a lot of other issues behind that. His wife was suing him and so forth. So it was a huge scandal.
So this wallet allows you to keep all your different altcoins in the same wallet and only transfer them to the exchange for a very short period of time to do the trade, and then they transfer right back into the wallet? Is that the way it works?
Exactly. Currently, when you're buying altcoins, you're purchasing with Bitcoins. You don't purchase with US dollars. You have to buy Bitcoins first in order to get any of the altcoins. And so both the currency that you're buying, the altcoin that you currently want to buy, and Bitcoins itself, you don't have to leave on the exchange. You could actually take ownership, because that's the design of cryptocurrencies, that you take ownership of the currency. And so why do you have that so much currency on the exchange? Well, just because it's a lot easier, right? On the exchange, right? You don't have to you don't have to have a wallet, your own wallet. You don't have to download complex software, install it, and so forth, and figure out how it works, set up a password for the currency, and so forth. So imagine having 300 different currencies on your computer. It's not only that. Not only is it impossible because they won't run, but let's just say you had multiple computers. It's just difficult to manage. With one piece of software that manages it all, it's a lot easier.
So people will buy. What would you be providing to the people? Just the software for the wallet that they would be buying from you?
Basically, it's a multi-wallet. Like Jax is a multi-wallet as well that you can use, but it only serves for a very few currencies and not all of them. So it's still a difficult process to transfer between the exchange and your wallet, even if you do have a multi-wallet, there are many out there. But not all of them have served all the different current cryptocurrencies. We plan to serve as many as we can, even the ones that do not have an exchange existing with them. So we plan to serve that market as well. So for example, Bittrex likes to delist currencies a lot, meaning that there's not going to be traded on their exchange anymore. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to leave that on that currency on that particular exchange? They do keep the record that you have that currency, and they do keep it running so long as the currency continues to function. But if they go down, you lose all that wealth if it ever gets relisted on another exchange. So you'll be able to take possession of currencies that are not exchanged anywhere, and when maybe it gets relisted on another exchange, you can send it to that exchange and be able to trade it there.
Yeah, it sounds like a great and necessary product. When are you just starting on it now? And I guess you'll have a website and estimated date of completion for the project, or?
Right now, I do have a website called Davincij15.net, It's basically explaining how to do the little lady style method of trading, and I hope to get people interested in this method of trading because it's a very simple method to gain a lot of profit very fast. Well, not fast, relatively fast, meaning over years of time, depending on how much you invest initially. For example, I initially invested $20,000 2 years ago, and now I'm well over $1 million in my account, trading just a little old lady style of trading. So selling half on the double, that's it, nothing else. I buy low when when everything comes back down to earth. I start buying when people are not interested in the alt currencies anymore. I'm in there buying. I'm buying and buying and buying, and then when everything starts moving up, I'm not buying when it's high. I'm buying when I'm selling when it's high, and I'm the one that's selling to you, to the average person that wants to buy when oh my God, this thing has gotten like 3x high. Well, I'm not buying it then. I'm selling it then.
Yeah, it does sound like a good strategy, and since there's so many altcoins, you could just do this with all of them instead of just having to watch Bitcoin only, which is generally what I've done since I don't know anything about the altcoins.
Yeah. So do you want to discuss some of the altcoins? Like I can show you my screen, and we could discuss some of the altcoins that I'm interested in. There are a few of them that are low enough that are interesting buys. So yeah, we could show you. So like for example, Nautilus coin. Here, I'm going to share my screen. Hang on a second. Okay, entire screen share. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
See right here at this coin, I have no idea what it is. It's GOLOS, Golos coin. But look where my buy order is. It's not way up here. Right? I have a little bit of this coin. I don't know why I have some. I guess I didn't realize I had some from this coin. But anyways, I want to buy down here, right? So I could sell half on a double. But the coin that I want to talk about is AUT Nautilus coin. This coin, you can see where some of my buy orders are with the green arrows, right? I bought some down here, I bought some up here. This was a mistake order. It's really difficult to not FOMO buy. FOMO buys fear of missing out, because when you see things going up, you start freaking out and going, oh my God, you gotta buy. But really, this is where you should be buying. It's really a simple process of drawing what's called the Fibonacci levels, right, from the last bottom, and buying at the 78.6 or the 61.8 level. It says 0.618, but really it's 61.8% level from here to here is where this is the buying area, buying window. This is where you should be buying, not anywhere else. It's really difficult to do, right? But if you have patience and discipline, you will be able to do that and make a lot of money really fast. So by buying down here, I was able to sell half on a double up here. Right? So this is the most easiest way to make money off these cryptocurrencies, these altcoins, is to just sell half on a double, because they go up and up like crazy. And Nautilus coin is moving in a direction to upwards, because look what it's done before. And I've made a lot of money in the past in Nautilus coin. I can show you another chart on a different exchange, NAUT on Poloniex, because I moved away from Poloniex because I don't trust them too much. So you could see I was buying down here and then selling half, selling half, selling half, selling half. I got some down a little bit down here, but then because it was the trade location. If I do the Fibonacci level, right? But then I realized, okay, well, this thing is still going down. I bought a little bit more as it went down, right? And I realized, okay, well, I got to wait for this thing to bottom and then start to turn before I start buying again. But with the little old lady method of trading, right, you can always sell half on double. Just set the half on the doubles level. Even if you're wrong, it doesn't matter. Just wait and be patient, because eventually these coins go crazy. And there's going to be a day when every single person on this planet is going to be interested in these cryptocurrencies. And as long as you have them to sell, right, you'll be able to sell these cryptocurrencies. Because one day, even though I bought it here, one day it's going to be way, way high. I mean, like crazy high, where the chart, you won't even see these levels on the chart. And I'll be selling these currencies all the way up.
Now, how do you just
right here?
I'm sorry.
From what I'm here.
How do you decide the fundamentals of which of the thousands of altcoins to focus on?
For this coin, I wish I did some fundamental analysis on it, because if I did, I would not have bought up here. This coin is really, really a pump and dump coin by the owner who developed it. He really knows how to market this coin, and it does nothing special, but he knows how to market and he knows how to buy this coin when it's low, and then he starts pumping it and marketing it when it starts moving high. So that's all he does with this coin.
Which
so don't put a lot of money in this coin. Put your life savings in this coin. One of the rules I stated in the little lady style of investing is never invest more than 5% in any particular asset. So, for example, for this coin, I would say no more than 1% really. If you feel, if you know what you're doing, maybe 2%, but that's about it. I have about 2% in this coin, maybe more. I could take a look at that. The charts here, it shows exactly how much percentage I have in each coin. And a lot of this coin, yeah, I mean, I have like, well, eight Bitcoins, so that's around 2% for my particular, my account, which is quite large.
Bitcoin's at a good time, I guess.
Yes. You can see here. I mean, I've done extremely well, and this is my cash holdings right here. I have a lot of Litecoin, that because Litecoin is moving up, and I need to sell half of this because this is way too much. 8% of my portfolio, too much. When it gets to 10%, I'm going to sell half, and so forth.
So of the altcoins, which ones do you think have the best fundamentals?
The best fundamentals going forward is XCP. XCP is going to do extremely well once Bitcoin enables SegWit. Right now, XCP has a little bit of an issue. Wow, what happened here? Okay, because that was the wrong exchange. That one, it took off on that exchange. I mean, I was like, wow, I should have made a lot of money on that if I was on that exchange. No. Do not go to Bitter. Bitter is a scam exchange, right? BTER is a really bad exchange to place your money. Do not place any money in that exchange. That's the worst exchange you can go to. The one I trust the most is Bittrex. That's the most trusted exchange for me. Okay. Poloniex, they have the most volume, so they're not going to go out of business anytime soon, but they're doing a lot of things that are like kind of shady. And then they're also having a lot of problems like with their system. So I feel that there's something wrong there. And so I've reduced my holdings, as you can see. I'm like 85% in Bittrex and only 6% in Poloniex.
And what's the other
So
exchange you use there? The one in
that's the
blue?
other thing. I use a few other exchanges, CCEX, but I don't trust them too much. They have a few things a few issues I'm concerned about. Is that when they delist the coins, you can't have access to them. For example, and then Poloniex is one, and then the other one is oh darn, my count's not correct. So I'm also on BTCE as well, and I have like my own external wallet as well. So, anyways, this is a very interesting coin. Going back to this one, you shouldn't be buying it here. It's still not. This was again a FOMO buy. You know, it's really difficult to not FOMO buy. These green ones are FOMO buys, and I feel I should be like bad Davincij, but you have to learn how not to do that. Those FOMO buys. You're supposed to just set your levels and buy at these levels here. So this is not a FOMO buy. I know that it's gonna become rolling back down because Bitcoin's rolling back down, but that's okay because in the long term, it doesn't matter even if you FOMO buy with the little old lady strategy, you're selling half on a double, and that's it. End of story. So if you buy anywhere wrong, just set your buy order half on a double and done, so that you can take profits as the price goes up and goes crazy. Because when people buy these things and say, yeah, I'm going to be rich one day, I'm going to be rich one day, and so it goes up, they feel good, it's going higher, great, and things are growing great, but they don't take profits. And if you don't take profits, you're not going to make any money. And by selling half on double, you know you have a point on where you're going to sell every single time. So it's real simple. Wherever you bought, sell half when the price doubles. And that's it. Nothing more. So even if you buy wrong, incorrectly, you buy high, just set the sell level at a double the price and done. And eventually, just wait it out, and eventually, prices will get there, because cryptocurrencies is our future. It's an asset that is going to change the way banking and money works, and everybody's eventually going to get into this thing. This is what I believe. I don't know for sure. I can't tell you anything for sure, but that's what I believe, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah,
So,
I tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
I always, though, my difficulty is knowing which of the 1,000 altcoins have a decent fundamentals. I was always more of a fundamentals investor, and try to predict the technical analysis but I always did better with fundamentals. What about like Ethereum and Ripple coin? Those seem to be the other big ones, and Litecoin. I think I kind of understand the fundamentals of Litecoin, but Ethereum and Ripple, everybody seems to be excited about now, and I'm still not really clear as to why people are so excited about them.
Sure, we'll get to those coins in a second. Let me just finish off with the fundamental analysis of XCP. Mm-hmm. XCP allows you to create, it's called counterparty coin. Counterparty allows you to create your own cryptocurrency, but it uses the Bitcoin blockchain network in order for you to transfer your new coin that you've created back and forth between other people. And because the fee, the transaction fee is really high, about $2-3 per transaction right now, because of the block size constraints. This makes it very expensive for you to use Counterparty's system to create coins. So once you create the coin, in order to transfer it to somebody else, you're going to pay like $2-3 per transaction to transfer it. So that's pretty heavy. But once those transaction fees come down, this particular asset will have extreme value, because in order to create a new coin using a counterparty, you need to use the XCP currency in order to buy the asset, in order to pay for creating new currency. So if the price of doing so is a lot lower, the price of transactions is a lot lower, it makes it easier for people who create currencies using counterparty to do so and use that currency, because the transaction fees are back to normal, maybe like 2 or 3 cents like it used to be. And I believe that's going to happen once SegWit comes into play next month. So I suggest that if you want to buy this particular asset, the XCP, buying in this area, let me just draw a little square box, green square box, is where you should be buying, right around here. Now I'm buying down here. I don't know if it's going to get down here, but there's a good chance that it will. And you could set your buy order ahead of me or whatever. I don't care. I have a lot of this coin anyway, so I'm happy with the amount of coins I have of XCP. And so even if it doesn't reach, I don't really care. If it just comes down here to the 61.8 and bounces, that's fine with me. But I do believe it's coming back down here, and this is where you'd be buying this coin if you're interested in this particular story. And you should do your own research. Now, you wanted to talk about Ethereum, right?
Right.
Because everybody's excited about Ethereum and what the fundamentals of Ethereum. I love the Ethereum story. I love it. You can see that it's really coming back down, right? Really hard here, and it's probably going to bounce probably around in this area here, because I bet you any money it is the 38.2 from this last turn. Yep, this is 38.2. So it's probably going to bounce and like trade up and down in this 38.2 level before it actually comes back down to the 78.6. This is the line, and this is what we call the line in the sand area. This would be probably the optimal area to be buying Ethereum. But the story about Ethereum, why it's so important, and why it's made so many people excited about it, is because Ethereum is effectively a computer system, decentralized computer system. So you can write programs that are decentralized and run in the cloud in no particular area, not on a particular server, or like with the Microsoft Azure or Amazon's what's Amazon's cloud network? I forget what it's called. But on the Amazon servers, you don't have to store your application in one location, and that is the power of Ethereum, right? But it's mostly focused on the financial systems. But once you create an application, you can create a complex application. For example, Ripple, they're creating a betting system, a gambling system, where you could bet on basically anything, like even the weather, what the weather's going to be like tomorrow. And that is illegal in most countries, especially in the United States. But once the application is finished and running, it runs everywhere. There is no place to shut it down. There's no place where the government can point a gun and say, hey, that's illegal, stop it. Nope, that doesn't exist. Your application runs everywhere and nowhere at all. So you can actually write an application where it cannot be stopped by government. And that's a huge, huge advantage of Ethereum. Now, the only thing I don't like about Ethereum is that I saw it from the very beginning when they started off the system, is that they don't use UTXO. And that's a complex way of saying how they do transactions from one person to another. The way Bitcoin does it is that it when you transfer one, let's just say you have one Bitcoin, somebody transfers you exactly one Bitcoin on Bitcoin with Bitcoin, and you have it in your wallet, and you want to transfer half that Bitcoin to somebody else. Well, actually, what's happening is there's not just one transaction where you're transferring half your Bitcoins to another person. You're transferring, you're making two transfers. One, 50%, so 0.5 to the person you want to transfer, and 0.5 back to yourself. It's two different transactions that are occurring. One is going back to you, and the other one is going to the person you want to send it to. And the reason for that is that you have a record of the Bitcoin coming back to you, and not only does it come back to you on your wallet software, it comes back in a different address in the Bitcoin wallet software. It goes back to a different wallet address so that it's secure, right? That's a little bit more complicated how they secure it, how it's secure. But it comes back to you, and so that becomes a transaction. The money coming back, the other 50% coming back to you, is a transaction in the system, so that it's locked in permanently as a permanent record. With Ethereum, it works differently. It actually is a ledger-based system where it actually writes a minus sign of how much you're sending to another person. So it goes, okay, let's just say you have one Ethereum, you're sending half of Ethereum to somebody else. Well, what it's doing is going -5 to your account, and minus 0.5 to your account, and plus 0.5 to another person's account. And the problem with that, is that I saw from the beginning, is that it allows for bailouts, and they proved it. When the DAO failed, and they bailed out everybody on Ethereum, and so that's why we had the fork with Ethereum and ETC, right? So now there's two. If you had Ethereum over a year ago, right, you have two copies of Ethereum. Now you have Ethereum and ETC, because they split, because they didn't believe in the bailouts system, right? Once something goes wrong and somebody steals your money, that's it. The Ethereum Classic says, okay, well, wait a second. If somebody steals your money, no, we don't bail you out.
And
this is it.
The people who get to decide whether there's a bailout, is that the majority holders of ETC, or is that the people who are running the mining of ETC the way it is?
The mining, well, for ETH, it's the mining.
Okay.
Right, the majority holders are the miners. The miners are the ones who decide whether or not there's a bailout, and they go, because if there's not consensus with the miners, it's not gonna the bailout not gonna occur. Now, because they managed to get consensus with the miners for the bailout, they were able to do it. Even if there was consensus with Bitcoin, let's just say somebody stole $1 billion or $10 billion of Bitcoins, for example. And everybody on the planet said, yes, every single person, let's just say pretend in some bizarro world, everybody on the planet agreed this bailout had to go through. Okay? Let's see what we have to do in order to make that happen. Right? Well, first off, right, it's not possible to just okay, well, we'll just minus from that person's account and add it to the person who got stolen from. No, it's not possible. What has to happen is that you have to go back in time to when it was stolen. So let's just say it took about a month, or let's just say it was quicker, a week, that everybody agreed that we need to bail out the person who got robbed. We'd have to go, and it was a week later that we agreed to that, right? Well, all the transactions, Bitcoin you have to stop every single transaction for 1 week to rewrite the network's rewrite the blockchain from the point where it was stolen to the point where you to make the change. So there'd be no transactions at all for 1 week, because you have to spend time remining all those coins for that week in order to redo to undo the stolen Bitcoins. So all transactions have to stop for 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
That's not possible. Who's going to agree to that?
Yeah.
Nobody. So it makes it impossible. And let's just say, okay, well, 50% of people agreed to this bailout. Well, okay, okay. Well, only 50% of the miners are going to agree. So those guys are the other 50% are going to stay on one side of the blockchain, and the other 50% are going to stay on another. So what's going to happen is that you have to catch up to the 50% that disagreed, and that's going to take you longer and longer and longer as time goes on, because they have 50% of the power, and so you'll always be 1 week behind them, and so it'll take you forever to catch up in order to pass them. Or the only other solution is to create two different currencies, right? And so one will be Bitcoin bailout, and the other one would be the Bitcoin normal. So it's close to impossible to bail out people on Bitcoin as it possibly can be. It's not totally impossible, but close to impossible. And that's what I don't like about Ethereum. Is Ethereum, it's very possible, and they're making it even that much so when they switch from proof of work to proof of stake. They're going to go to proof of stake where there's only going to be a maximum of 1,000 stakers. So those 1,000 people can decide if there's going to be a bailout.
Are those stakers going to be the owners of Ethereum or the miners of Ethereum?
The owners. So they have to have a certain amount of...
Yeah, so the other thing I always hear about Ethereum is that it's the majority owners were this little group that bought into the IPO in effect, and that they're Microsoft or some large corporations. Do you know anything about that?
Microsoft did not buy into Ethereum. What they did was just they allowed a platform for Ethereum on their Azure network, so that you can quickly build an Ethereum node or systems on their software, on their server platform, Azure. So you can just quickly build a node or a software system to communicate with the Ethereum network through the Microsoft Azure network server systems.
So
that's
does
all
anyone know who these majority shareholders majority owners of Ethereum are? That because as I understand it, like 70% of the coins were given in the very beginning to the people that funded Ethereum in the very beginning.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So there's those people who have probably sold a little bit here and there, but if they have enough Ethereum coins, they could actually be the proof of work staker, proof of stake. They can stake the coin once it switches from proof of work to proof of stake.
So
and
then they in effect
don't have enough,
can do whatever they want.
join a pool of people to stake the coin. So it's not like if you only, it'll probably be like you're gonna probably need like 10,000 coins or 30,000 coins or something like that in order to stake it on your own. But you could probably join a bunch of people staking this and earn more of the Ethereum that way. But
so
only 1,000 people will be allowed to stake.
Yeah, and no one really knows who these original people were, that this small group that got the majority of the Ethereum in the beginning. And I would also imagine they didn't really sell off a whole lot. Otherwise, it would seem hard for Ethereum to have risen so much, or maybe I'm wrong. But I would be concerned that there's still just a small group of people that have maybe a majority ownership of Ethereum to this day. I mean,
yeah, but that's not a concern, right? Because they're trapped, really. Because if they sell, they've probably been selling a little bit as it goes up, right? But they're trapped. They can't like dump everything they got, because then they're gonna lose value, right? Because they'll just push the price down, and I'll be ready there to buy down here. So if they want to push the price down here immediately, sure, I'll buy it. Right?
But if they still have majority ownership, then won't they be able to say, you know, they'll basically have control of it once it switches over to the new system?
Sorry. Yes, that's correct. They will be able to decide that hey, if they don't like what's going on in the network, they can change the way it works. Right? Of course, they're going to need a little bit more consensus than that, right? They're going to need consensus with other people, but with 1,000 people, they only need consensus with 1,000 people, and probably less than that, right? Probably like just more than half. Right.
And,
so. Okay,
I see.
So that's my only concern with Ethereum, but I like everything else about it. Moving on to another currency, XRP you were talking about, which is Ripple. Ripple is, I can call it the banker's currency. I sold all of my Ripple at the top here because I was like, okay, this is just ridiculous. This is what straight up. And I sold it at the top here, and I decided, okay, you know what, I'm going to get some back here, down here. I really don't care because, you know what, I want to have some of this name no matter what. And this currency is not, some people don't even consider it a cryptocurrency. Right?
Yeah.
Because of the way it works. It's a web-based currency. I've not looked at the code for this thing, but I do not. It's a proof of stake currency, and it does not clearly show how it works. Is not clearly understood by most people. But basically, you can basically reverse transactions on this thing. You can do all kinds of things that other cryptocurrencies do not have. So that's one thing I would be careful with this particular currency. It's okay to buy a little bit of it when it's a lot lower. I would suggest you wait until maybe even to the 200 moving period average, like even down. I think even down. I think right about here, yeah, 78.6 is probably the safest place to buy this thing. If it falls lower, just keep buying it all the way down. But anything below here is probably the safest thing. I bought here because I just wanted to own. I wanted to have some back because I sold everything. So I rebought because I knew this was just ridiculous, ridiculous because it was half the value of Bitcoin at this point. Half the market cap. I was like, okay, not a chance. I'm selling everything, and I'll wait until it comes back down.
So, as I understand it, Ripple is just a platform that assists. Only banks can use the platform in transferring payments among banks. Is that? I mean, that's my vague.
No, but basically, the way it works is that you can, in order to transfer, you could transfer goods across this network. Not just the Ripple coins, but also other goods, and then only specific outlets, specific people who are basically approved exchanges can actually exchange between the Ripple network, and so they have this whole complex system of exchanges, where basically you're called a node or a route where you have to be approved by the Ripple network in order to allow yourself to exchange any kind of goods, not just the Ripple currency, right, but gold, silver, currency, whatever. And so that's why banks like this, because they can use this system, right? And it's reversible and all that kind of stuff. It has everything that they need in order.
So first of all, there would be no anonymity. If you become a node, then you kind of lose anonymity. Is that correct?
Exactly. You're basically a large commercial entity.
Yeah. And then secondly, the other thing I didn't really understand about it is, okay, this network can transfer anything, as you said, gold or other altcoins.
Exactly.
So I don't see how that really gives Ripple coin value. I mean, PayPal can be used to transfer money. PayPal could come up tomorrow and say, oh, we're going to create a PayPal coin, but who cares? Because you don't need the Ripple coin to use the Ripple network, is my vague understanding.
Yes, but with the Ripple network, you could actually, using their system, you could transfer other goods, and then not like PayPal. PayPal can't do that with.
Right. But why would that give Ripple coin any value? You don't need Ripple coin to use their network, correct?
You need the Ripple coin is an intermediary for the pricing of those assets. That's
okay.
That's why they. So for example, yeah. So when you transfer the asset, right, immediately, right, even though it's still physically in your possession, you have to transfer the value in Ripple to that other person as a security deposit or something like that, and then when they receive it, they get it back, sort of like. So it's sort of some sort of complex way of doing it, using the Ripple coin as a method of making sure that you get your asset that you're transferring back and forth between different people.
Are there altcoins that can do the same thing but do have anonymity, or is Ripple kind of unique?
Yeah, Ripple is unique that way. There probably is other ones like that. I believe Bata is similar to that, but it's for personal trading, not for corporate trading. But I think Bata actually changed the what they're doing. I don't think they're doing that anymore. I'm not sure, but I heard from somebody else that Bata changed their whole system and they're not doing what they originally said they were going to do. So I don't know if there's any other coins that do exactly what Ripple does, but because Ripple is interfaced with the banking system, it's going to do well.
Yeah. What other altcoins do you like the fund, or do you feel do something unique and add value?
Well, I believe REP, which is basically based on the Ethereum network, right? Because the whole system is designed on top of the Ethereum network, is also a good coin to own. I don't mind even buying it up here, even though I shouldn't be buying it up here. But I will be buying more when it comes back down, right? I believe that this coin has great value because what it is basically a gambling, effectively a gambling site, but they don't consider it that. Basically, it's a reputation. They call it reputation site. So basically, you would say, okay, well, I know everything about I don't know. Let's just say the like sporting events. I know exactly which team is going to win and what's going to lose. So I'm going to place my information on that network saying this team's going to win, and I'm going to get paid in Ripple if I'm right. And so when you're right, you get paid, right? When you're wrong, you can lose money. So you could do all that. For example, you could also do stuff like rate banks and rate companies and so forth like that. System on Ripple. Like the S&P or does rating and so forth. You know how they have the S&P and Moody's have like complete monopoly on rating of companies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, through the reputation network, you can build your own rating of companies, and the more often you're right about the rating system, the more money you make. Mm-hmm. So people who have honest and clear predictions about assets and value going forward in the future can actually do extremely well, and will actually weed out all the criminal elements over time with this system. So that I see, so that's why I want to own this particular asset. I see a big future in the Ripple. I mean, sorry, the REP, which is a reputation coin. It's called Augur. Sorry, Augur.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds very interesting. Augur.
The coin is called Rep Coin or Reputation Coin, and Augur is producing this software, which is a prediction software, basically. So it's a prediction network of predicting events or predicting the valuations of companies and making sure that they're correct. Or you could do it many things with this particular Augur system. So I see a huge future in it.
Yeah, that does sound like an interesting one. I'll have to look into it more. Any other altcoins that you're particularly interested in?
EOS is a very interesting currency. It's not anything grand, but the developers behind it are working extremely hard to produce another cryptocurrency that has great value, and they're adding great value to this particular currency. And now I have to apologize. I totally forgot what I read about their algorithm, their Myriad algorithm. But I remember when I was reading it, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing stuff. I read about it like way back here. so it's been a long time, and I bought like a long time ago. So I've been selling and rebuy. I rebought here as it goes up. It's like half on a double, but I'm always going to be an owner of this particular coin, because what they did was they did a reverse split. See this big green candle? This is when they did the reverse split. So basically they had like a 33 million supply, and they lowered the amount of supply, which is huge, which actually benefits the currency. The lower supply, the better it is, and the higher it goes, a lot faster. And and then also they've engineered a new system for this coin, and they're doing extremely well. They have like a lot of developers working on this thing, so I'm happy with this coin. I'm sorry I don't have much information on this coin. I don't remember exactly what I read. It left me with a good warm and fuzzy feeling in this for this coin. It's not, but I remember it was anything special other than it was just another cryptocurrency like Bitcoins, but they were strengthening the algorithm a lot more than Bitcoin is. So, and they were doing it very rapidly. So that's why I was very interested. As for other currencies, most of them, like I like Made because they're creating a new internet with Made, but they've been talking about this forever. They've been talking about producing this software, this new internet software, for the longest while, and not produce the goddamn thing. It's all been talk, and no real software has been issued yet. So I'm a little concerned about Made, but people are interested in buying this thing, so I'm in it. I don't have a lot into this Made, but who knows? If they produce the software, this thing is going to the freaking moon. Another one is Storage Coin. SJC. I'm really upset because this is the second time prices came really close to my sell order and went straight down. Right? And I hate that. I hate it when that happens. It happened here, right? I was like, no, it came really close. So that's why I moved my sell order right here. I'm like, no, this is not going to happen to me again. And what happens? Came really close. I could have sold half on the double here. And nope, straight down. Oh, frustrating. But you know what? It happens. And so I'm going to live with it. But anyways, the reason why I'm into this coin is because it is basically distributed storage coin, which they do have software for. And so they allow for you to use your hard drive in order to mine this coin, and it's a fixed supply, so there's never going to be any more storage coins other than these. And also, when you want to use people's storage, you have to pay in the storage coin. So it's a really good idea, and they've really done well with the product. So I'm really interested in owning more of this coin. However, my only concern is that most of the coin is held by the creators of this particular asset. And so what they've already said that they're going to do is they're going to keep the price as low as possible. So whenever price rises, they're going to start selling into the market in order to push the price down. And you can see this is exactly what they've been doing. And so they've been doing a really good job of that, as they want to keep the price low, right? They've kept the price really low in this range from here, right, to here for the longest while. And they've been liking this range, but you know, the market dictates what dictates everything. So the market says nope, they're going to push it down, and the market people are going to be buying it up, and they're going to make it difficult. The market's going to make it difficult for them to rebuy in order for them to keep pushing this in the new range. And I think the market has found a new range, and I think it's going to trade in this range here, from here, somewhere around here. Like if we double this, if we take this particular range, let's see here. If we draw a line from here to here, oops, wrong thing. If we do this, we draw a line from here to here. Oops, still wrong one. Okay, trend line, there we go. From here to here, I'm going to change the color to blue. Well, maybe you can't see that. Okay, yellow. And then we clone this here to here. This is what's called a parking garage. I think the market has found a new parking garage. Yeah, I'm right. So right about here, so that's pretty close. So between here and here is where the market's probably going to stay. They might try to push it down a little bit. That's why I got a buy order. But the market's probably just going to go, oh yeah, okay, I'm interested in buying it if it's down here. And so I don't think they'll be able to get it down here for very long. And the market's probably going to trade. They're probably going to give up and trade within this range for a long time. And I probably won't get my sell order. It's right up here. But that's okay. I'll just wait it out because, you know, I'm interested in owning this name forever, right? Lady style of trading, I will own this name forever because I'm only selling half on the double. Now I set a sell order of double because I sell a sell order here because if I get this order here, I don't want to interfere with my numbering system, but I will cancel this order. So ignore that. I'm going to cancel that order eventually. But anyways, yeah, I believe the market's just going to trade in between here for the longest while. Might spike its way down, might spike the way up a little bit every once in a while, but basically it might just, I don't know for sure, but I do believe that these guys are going to try to keep it in here. They might be able to keep it down here, but I don't think so. So that's another coin which I'm very interested in, and I think that.
But Davincij, you know something about the fundamentals of these currencies. You deal with all of them, or some of them you just deal with them just based on the graphs.
Yes, for example, like this 2give coin. I don't care about it. I don't care about this coin. I just use technical analysis on this coin. I think it might even go to zero, but I don't give a crap. I just basically sell half on a double. I buy when it's low and sell when it's high, and that's all I care about doing. And I don't care about doing anything else. Right? So this coin, if I'm interested in buying again, which I probably will be, right, where I'm going to be buying is way down here in this area. If it comes back. If not, it's okay. I got coins. Who wants to go higher? Fine with me. I'll sell the market half every single time. But I'm not a buyer until it's down here.
I'm curious. You said before that eventually all the people in the world are gonna get interested in cryptocurrencies, or
Yes.
at least that's your prediction.
Yes. That's what I believe.
How do you think this scenario is gonna be? I mean, there are gonna be like a bunch of cryptocurrencies, all of them with different features. There's gonna be like a leading cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. How do you think this scenario is gonna be? And do you think that because actually you think that eventually there's going to be the famous crash of the fiat currencies?
Yeah, there's well, definitely that's going to happen, but who knows when? But the real thing you need to look at is this, the cryptocurrencies, because eventually there's going to be like a .com craze where right now there's over 700 currencies. I think when the craze happens, there's going to be millions of them because it's going to be easy for any person to create currency and market it. And so in that craze bubble, there's going to be lots of choices and lots of crappy currencies. And most of them, like more than half, like more than 70% of them will probably go to zero. But when that happens, when there's like when there's millions of them, but it doesn't really matter, right? If you're buying these ones down here, these cryptocurrencies down here, they're probably going to stick around for a while because most of them are designed from the ground up and built with actual hard code and not built on top of another particular platform. And most of them are going to still be around, and they're going to be worth like a lot of money. Even if they're not worth a lot of money, they're going to move up and down like crazy. And as they do that, I'm going to be buying low and I'm going to be selling high every single time. So what's happening is that even though, let's just say this particular currency only goes like, I don't know, 10x, which is still a lot, 10x from where it is right now. So it's right about here. About 1,500 sats, right? It's not going to do that straight. And usually not going to do that in a straight line. Sometimes they do. But as it goes up and down and up and down, I'm going to be buying low, selling high, buying low, selling high, making the money all the way along as it tries to do. It's slow to move. Like this is how the market really moves, right? It moves in the waves, right? Up and down and up and down and up and down, and sometimes comes back down and then back up and so forth. So all these waves, I'm going to be buying and selling all the way along, making money. So I don't really care what happens along for even if it goes to zero. Let's just say this thing goes up and down, up and down, up and down, and then zero. I've already made a lot of money on this thing. Who cares? Right? I mean, it doesn't matter. And if it continues higher, I'm still making money. I'm still going to sell half on a double, no matter where it ends up. So I'm always going to be an owner of this particular coin. And so that's the key thing.
Is there any particular resource that you use the most to analyze these new coins? Are there forums that are the best source of information, or you just kind of go on your own and
Okay, well, I do have a fundamental analysis document. I will share that with you guys in a second. Here, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for 2 seconds and just go to my camera here. Oops. You guys were seeing my screen, right?
Yes. Now I see the screen, yeah.
Okay, yes, so we've seen your screen.
Okay, I'm trying to hit cancel on the screen, hit cancel, but then it's not clicking. You see my screen? Cancel. Okay. All right. So now you guys see me. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm going to bring up a fundamental analysis document that I have. Here, I'm going to look for it. Basically, I do have this document which I used in order to determine which currencies are best for you to use. But however, that keeps you out of all the what I consider shit coins. And the problem with that is shit coins, which I should probably rename to junk coins, because some people don't like swearing. So what my fundamental analysis keeps you out of those coins, right? For the most part, and keeps you in coins that are not going to go to zero. And here, I've got the document here. I'm going to share that right now. Share screen. And I'll explain how to actually do fundamental analysis on cryptocurrencies. Okay, so here it is. Altcoin trading plan. So, you guys see this trading plan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of old. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that it's very old because I've written this 2 years ago. And so right now, a lot of this does not apply because there's very few that have currencies that have less than 30K of market cap. Right back then, practically more than half of the top 100 had a market cap of 30 to 45K. But now the top 100 have a market cap of over 100K, 100 million, which is insane. Coin market cap is where you can actually see market caps of okay, sorry, I was $20 million in order to get to the top 100, which is insane. Mm-hmm. I remember when 50% of these were under 100,000. So yeah, I mean, things have gone like absolutely crazy. But if you follow this particular method here, basically. This is like the key points of how you rate a particular coin. It has less than 25 million in supply. So supply meaning if you click on here, you can see that this one has like a 500 million in supply, which is crazy. But if we go to Dash, which is one of my highly rated coins, this is the only coin that got a 5 points, which is the highest rating on the end. On my fundamental analysis you can get. Dash has a good 7 million coins out, which is decent. Was perfect because if it's less than 25 million in supply, it's really good. It has a market cap greater than 10 million, which obviously it's got to change to like maybe like 100 million now, right? Because it's old, this particular document. It has new features are added in the last 6 months, and the best way to check to see if the new features are added is if you click on, let's just say, if we click on Litecoin, right, and then if they have like the website or forums, announcements. There we go, announcements. And you go on the announcements page, right? You go reading through this page and find out if somebody's done anything with the coin, the developers have done anything, or you go to the GitHub. Is what I would sometimes do. I go to GitHub, and then, for example, I go Litecoin. Right, and then I'd find the developer of this coin, updated in January. See, so Litecoin, yeah, so I think this is one of these things. I have to like do a little bit of research, I guess, because those are probably clones of this coin. No, nothing here. All right, this one's a bad one because there's probably lots of clones. Lots of people have cloned it, Litecoin. All right, I think this is it. No, look at that. There's nothing been changed in 4 years. So usually when I check this, and it's like, if it says like in a long time nothing's been changed, then you know what? That's not a point. That's actually a minus. That's a minus point if it's less. If you created in 6 months, right? Mm-hmm. It has a trading history going back to past March 2014. Probably might want to change that. Listed on 4 more exchanges, right? The more exchanges it is, the less likelihood it's going to go to 0. If it's listed on 1 exchange, minus 1 point. It has greater than 1 billion coins, minus 1 point, right? If no devs are talking, or the GitHub is, the last change is greater than 6 months, minus 1 point. If you Google the word scam and the name of the coin, right? And there's a lot of people talking about how it's a scammy coin, minus a point. It's easy to tell which coin is a scam. For example, OneCoin. Oh my God. People, please stay away from OneCoin. Do not get near that. It's not even traded on any exchange. Another thing is a coin with a trade history of 1 year or more. That should be changed to maybe 2 years, maybe 3. If it has less than 1 year. Sorry, if it has less than 1 year, then you know what? It's a minus point, because you know what? It's very dangerous to get into those new coins. You don't know what's going to happen. I think I'll leave that particular analysis right there. So that is how I would do FA on particular coins. I haven't used this method in a long time, but everybody is interested in my method. It did work for me for a while, but it kept me out of a lot of coins, and I was like frustrated, so I just went straight to technical analysis. And that's why I haven't used fundamental analysis. Mm-hmm. And that's my 2 cents on that. You guys have any other questions or anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, I appreciate all your knowledge on that. It's been an hour, so yeah, I guess that's it for me. You always hear about Steam, because on YouTube, you know, everybody's pushing the Steam coins. You know anything about them? I guess if I had one last point, I was curious about.
Steam, I like Steam because it's basically a site where you can blog and earn money. Mm-hmm. And people say it's scam. Okay, so when you say that, I'm like, okay, hold on a second, please. If you write a blog and earn money, how is that person scamming you? Right? I mean, it's just like, it boggles the mind. It's so simple. You don't have to invest in Steam if you don't want to. It's fine. Just go write a blog, write something you're good about, what you're interested about. Who knows about travel, about computers, about history, whatever. It doesn't matter. Write it on Steam. You get paid. You can sell the Steam credits when you get paid every month, or every day, actually. You get paid every time you post. You sell them, you get paid, you get your money, and that's it. End of story. I don't understand how people continue to call it a scam. Fine. You want to call it a scam, that's fine. But people are making lots of money by just blogging on Steam.
So basically with Steam, the new coins that are created every month are given to, a percentage of them at least, given to these bloggers, rather than with Bitcoin, it's just all given to the miners. Is that the way Steam is set up?
No, not really. It's given the Steam coins that are created as proof of stake, so it's given to the greater stakeholders. So if you already have Steam, right, and basically in order to stake it, you have to store it in a stake wallet for a certain amount of time, like 2 years or something like that. So in order to gain more Steam, so the people who stake Steam gain more Steam. People who don't, they can only gain Steam if they blog. Okay. So if you blog, you gain Steam, right? By more people viewing your blog.
So the the bloggers are getting paid Steam out of what? Out of this?
Yeah, good question. Good question. Good question. So in order to view blogs on Steam, you have to have an account, and then once you have an account, right? If you view a blog and you like it, if you want to like a blog, you have to have an account. Mm-hmm. And in your account, you have a certain amount of Steam. They give you a certain amount of Steam for free stuff. And so you pay that person a little bit of your Steam every time you like their particular blog or comment, because also people who comment can also earn money as well. Okay. So if you comment under the blog and people like your comment, you get paid as well.
Well, that seems fair enough then. I guess you know what you're getting into. You're basically paying a tiny amount of money to view these blogs, it seems.
No, not to view, but to like. And the money, not actually, you get a little bit of Steam already as it is. Right. So if you use the Steam that you get to like up to thumb up particular blog, that's up to you, or you can keep the Steam or sell the Steam or whatever. But if you want to like something or promote something yourself, right, you have to have a little bit of Steam in order to like it.
Okay. And so these blogs are hosted on the mining, basically something like the mining network?
Basically on the blockchain, the Steam blockchain.
Okay, so it's kind of like Tor. It's never going to be able to get taken down by anyone easily.
Yes and no, because the Steam all the blogs are stored on the Steam blockchain, but in order to view them on a website, you have to have a hosted website in order to translate it from the Steam blockchain to the web page. But somebody else can just set up their own website on another location and read all the blogs off and place all the blogs available in another place on the planet. So it's a little bit difficult to shut down.
So I guess that could grow to become kind of a alternate internet. I mean, if it was big enough, they could start hosting videos, and it could grow to be kind of an alternate internet. And that's probably, of all the altcoins, that's the one that's furthest along in providing some alternative to the current format of the internet.
Yes, I think it is the furthest along, but you know what? I've read the white paper, and I have some concerns because, honestly, I don't understand what they're talking about in their white paper. So something's rubbing me the wrong way when I don't understand the white paper. I understand basically how to use it because it's very simple how to use, right? But what they're doing in the back end, I'm like, I don't know. You need to rewrite this thing so that it makes sense, because it doesn't make any sense.
Also, so, I wonder how it's going to be eventually the content on the website, since most people are going to post stuff for getting money, to get money. So, people are saying that it's going to replace Facebook or so.
Yes.
But I don't know, because most people eventually are going to be there and click like or comment for getting money. So I don't know if it's really going to be something personal like a Facebook or, if it's going to have that sort of attraction.
Well, I mean, it attracts people who want to earn money. So, and then people who want to earn money and they don't want to blog, they could all just comment, right? And that's another way of earning some money on the Steam network. So, I mean, also, it helps reduce the problem with Dig. Like, for example, I really liked Dig when it first came out, right? It was where content that was relevant was liked up to the top, right? And it was great. I really appreciated it because things that people were interested in were brought to the top of the news stories, right? But the problem was it started getting censored. The owners decided, okay, well, you know what? This Ron Paul guy, he's getting a lot of likes. We don't like this thing. We don't like Ron Paul. So they censored him, right? Off the website. With Steam, you can't do that, right? Mm-hmm. So whatever you like, will be posted in the front, and there's nobody gonna say, well, no, I don't like what people are liking. I gotta stop this thing. You can't do that.
Yeah, to me, it seems like there's a huge need for that right now, with even Reddit getting censored and certainly YouTube, Google censoring and manipulating the algorithm. But yeah, I see a huge need for that. I don't know if Steam will be the one that meets that need, but somebody hopefully will meet that need in the future.
Yeah, I mean, Steam already has the platform working, so I don't know if they will be. They'll meet the need, but so far their platform is working in that method. And who knows? I mean, again, remember, it's partially blockchain, partially web hosted. So effectively, right, the web hoster could say, okay, well, even though this is getting like that, they can like block specific articles. But it's still in the blockchain, right? So the Steam blockchain. So somebody else said, okay, well, I've noticed that you're blocking my articles. Well, I'm just going to create another website that reads from the blockchain, and people can go there and see all the articles and like it up from there. So if they do censor it, right, from their website, somebody else can use the same blockchain, same network, same website, just design their own web host to read from the Steam blockchain and post up all the articles.
Well, thank you for all your knowledge on this. I guess it's...
Just one last question. Davincij, what would you say to someone like me who is definitely a newbie to cryptocurrencies, and there's this sort of impression that, that I'm sort of late to learn all these things? Is it late, or how should I start with cryptocurrencies? Which things should I learn first? Or how should I get into it? Because everything seems very complicated,
Well, I would suggest you could go with Bitcoins. Obviously, if you want to get into any cryptocurrency, you need to buy Bitcoins. But buying Bitcoins here at this price is just wrong. The best time to buy Bitcoins is probably around the $1,600 mark. Anything below $1,600 is where you'd be buying Bitcoins at, where you should be buying Bitcoins at. And then you can go into other alt currencies. Now, again, if you just follow the little old lady strategy of investing, selling half on a double, you always have money. You always earn money in these alt currencies. Now, it's your real question, your real bottom line question is: are you too late? You're not too late. This market has just begun. We are just seeing the beginning of something huge, bigger than the .com bubble days. And you need to be in this currencies right now. Not right now. You could wait till Christmas time, for example. Christmas is the best time to buy alt currencies because everything comes down. Because it has a seasonality to it. That's when you should be buying, and buying low, because pretty much everything is low around Christmas time. And so you can start buying a lot of cool names around that time. I think Dash is low enough that even if you bought right now, it's not the optimal buying area, but it's not gonna, you're not gonna go broke buying Dash right now. But you can also just wait until it gets a lot lower, because it's going probably it's probably going to get cut by 30% more than where it is right now. But I don't know for sure, because honestly, I don't have a crystal ball. So, right, I could be wrong. It could just turn and go straight up, right? I don't know, right? But generally, based on technical analysis, I believe we should shave off another 30% before we see a turn. But even buying now is still fine. I mean, I got some Dash around this price, and I think it's difficult to say that somebody jump into altcoins right now, because everything's so high priced. I would say keep an eye on the market, wait for prices to come down, and then start buying.
Yeah, and it's definitely not too late.
Yes, it's not too late. Prices will be coming down, and you will be able to get in on the cheap. But that's a hard thing. Once things are coming down, right? You'd be like, oh no, it could go lower. It could go lower. But so you don't know when to buy. So generally, I would suggest just buy around the Christmas time, and you won't go wrong.
Thanks again. I really appreciate all the help that you've given me personally and your audience over the years. You're a good guy. Well, you were around even before cryptocurrencies. You were always one of the best guys promoting silver and hard assets too. So I think you've proven yourself for many years. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that.